Good morning. This is a very special moment for us. In 1985, I was invited to make a film. I was a filmmaker at the time at San Juan Pueblo, north of Santa Fe, where we live. And I thought I was there to make a movie. It turned out to be otherwise. But I met Gabriel Howarth, who's a master organic farmer and gardener, whom many of you know. And he had apprenticed with indigenous farmers around the Americas. And in the course of, he wanted to learn traditional farming from the people who really knew. And in the course of people coming to trust him, they shared with him what for them is the most precious of gifts, which is the gift of seeds, because through the seeds speak the voices of the ancestors. And each time that you plant a seed, you become an ancestor for the generations to come. And he had put the word out through the Pueblo, if anybody had any old seeds. And every few days something would show up on his doorstep, and I was standing behind the camera watching a San Juan Pueblo resident, James Chancellor, who had these beautiful red corn seeds in his hand, and he started weeping. And I paid even closer attention, and what had happened was these seeds had been found in the mud wall of an adobe home on the Pueblo. No one had seen them before. They took them all around, and one of the elders remembered it was the sacred red corn of San Juan Pueblo that had not been grown in 40 years. And it was a profound moment. It was a life-changing moment for me. Gabriel and I went on to found the company Seeds of Change to conserve backyard biodiversity. And before we started Bioneers, a year before, we started a program called the Native Scholars Program, because the seed stocks are irreplaceable, but even more irreplaceable is the knowledge, the traditional knowledge. And that was really the heartbeat and the inspiration that it lies beneath Bioneers. And since the very beginning, we've been profoundly shaped by Indigenous thinking, guided by it, and had the great honor and privilege of knowing people like these and many, many others, and providing a platform for Native voices, Native vision, and for standing side by side to take action for what we all believe in, and for the preservation of Mother Earth, and cultural survival, and human rights, and land rights, and sovereignty. So in the course of, there have been a number of milestones along the way. In 1992, we did a meta program. It was the 500-year anniversary of Columbus. And we had a huge portion of the conference that was devoted to that. And I was looking back through the archive, and there was a wonderful picture of Suzanne Harjo, who was with us that year, who today is continuing the battle to get the Redskins have their names changed, the football team. And in 1994, Melissa Nelson showed up, who was supposed to be here this morning, and she got hung up, but she's here in spirit. Melissa was in her early 20s at the time, and on her way to becoming today a globally recognized Native educator. And she joined our board in the mid-90s. It was a profound contribution. She's back on the board again. In 1995, Sebia Hawkins, who tragically died a few years ago, much too young, our good friend Sebia, brought Oren Lyons and John Mohawk to Santa Fe for a meeting. And that was also a historic moment. And we sat, actually I remember really well, Oren, we didn't have an agenda, we had 3 hours, and you made a comment, said, well, life is like crossing a river. You see one stone, and then you see the next stone, and you don't see the next step till it comes, and then you get across the river. And 3 hours later, we had covered everything, and we'd started the Iroquois White Corn Project with John, who is an incredible visionary and an amazing mentor to me for 12 years. He's just one of the greatest gifts in my life ever. And we really think of John now. And John was a farmer as well as a scholar, one of the great scholars of all time. But what he was passionate about was seeds and farming, and we did the Iroquois White Corn Project to help revive this food that saved George Washington's troops, actually. For better or for worse, huh? And Oren joined the board, and John joined the board. It's been a very profound relationship for us, since that time. And then in 2001, we met Clayton, as you heard yesterday, Clayton's story, a young guy in his early 20s at that time, who also joined our board and started the youth program and has helped very responsible for the diversity of that program as well, and having 65 Native youth here today, which is extraordinary. Wow. And in 2007, Clayton, with great formality and gravitas, came up to me and said, we've had an Indigenous Peoples Caucus here, and we would like to have our own sovereign space going forward. And I talked it over with Nina, and we were just totally blown away by the idea and incredibly honored that people would want that. And so in 2008 was the genesis of the Indigenous Forum. Thank you, Clayton, forever. And then Melissa Nelson, the Cultural Conservancy, became a partner, and Tom Goldtooth here became a key partner. Thank you, Tom. And I can hardly imagine a greater gift to this community than to bring that forth. Clayton then introduced us to Dune Lankard, his good friend, and amazing. One of our true heroes up there in Alaska, stopping them from cutting down the forests and trying to build native businesses. And then we realized this program really wanted to grow, and I was sitting around with Melissa, bemoaning the fact that we really needed a staff member. And then Melissa called us up and introduced us to Cara Romero. And Nina and I had breakfast with Cara at Harry's Roadhouse in Santa Fe. And Nina and I kind of looked at each other and said, oh my God, we got to get her. And Cara, what you have done with this program is so extraordinary. I mean, just beyond our wildest dreams, and the leadership and the vision and the kindness and the cooperation, extraordinary social empathy that you have. It's just, I'm in awe of you. It is such an honor to be able to work with you. So, yeah, Cara. So we really just felt like we really wanted to express our gratitude, This has been so profound in our lives and in this work, and to be able to share this with this whole community, with all of us. So we really just want to thank you.
I think what I want to add is that I never could have imagined what a profound source of teaching it would be for me to have the opportunity to learn from you, Oren, from the Haudenosaunee, from the Iroquois, and your modeling of the twinning of the genders. I think, as you said in a board meeting recently, the Iroquois were the where the men are men and the women are too. And what a tremendous gift it's been in my quest to understand how to live in a good way, in a way that is sacred, in a way that honors all our relations. What an incredible gift it's been to partner with you, Oren, with John, with each of you on this stage, with Melissa, and with so many Indigenous teachers who are among us and not. And I'm just profoundly, profoundly humbled and grateful. Thank you.
And Oren, I also wanted to thank you for bringing Sid and the other Iroquois chiefs here today. It was an honor beyond imagination for us, and we are so grateful that you can be here with us and to be standing alongside you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, I'm going to be speaking on behalf of the delegation here, as well as Indigenous people out there, as well as Indigenous people in North, Central, South America, as well as Indigenous people around the world. And there's quite a few of us, yes, who are still here. This philosophy that I so beginning to bloom. We talked about this last night a little bit about planting. When you plant a seed, you have to water it. You have to take care of it, keep the weeds away. And but there's one section of it that I didn't mention last night, and that's the dawn song, when our farmers stand and they sing to the new day, and they sing to the plants, and they join in the spiritual side of life. You have to have that. Monsanto doesn't understand that at all. So we have the edge, big edge. And so in that dawn song, in that respect for the earth and the respect for things gone by and things that are growing and things that are coming, we work together, and it's a spirit. It's a spiritual time when that sun just breaks the horizon. You can straight across there. And we do. We have these songs. So learning these songs and learning these events and learning the values that are going to sustain us. They're always long-term values. They're always slow. We're always working for 7 generations ahead. We're conscious of them. We're very conscious of them and what's going to happen to them. And so in our deliberations, in all of our thinking, we're thinking about that life ahead of us and all of our efforts in that direction. And so I see the collaboration here, I see the spirit here, and we have to move beyond Indians and white men and black men and yellow men and understand we're one family. And that's the union, that's the strength, to be united. This is what we told Washington back that time. You guys are not going to amount to anything till you can sit down and talk together as a union. And they said, good idea. So here we have our leader, Tadadaho. He's the head chief of the Six Nations. He's at Onondaga. And I wouldn't want his job, you know. Obama thinks he has a big job, this one's bigger. And it's hard work for our leaders, and our leaders are always out, and we have leaders here. We brought our leaders here so they can see you, so they can see who you are and how you are working with us, and where color doesn't matter, where it's the blood of a species, us. And I want to say, people talk about saving the world. Saving the world? That's the arrogance of a human being, you know. The world's not going anywhere. We may not be here, but that ain't going to bother the world at all. It's been here a long time, it's going to be here a long time. So the question arises, are we going to be here? Well, that's up to us. That's why you're here. The common sense people are here. You have to take the lead. You have to be the leaders. I was told a long time ago by an elder from Onondaga, he said, be your own leader. And so you're all leaders, but you work together, common cause. And so the work that Nina, and Kenny has done here to gather you, to begin and to develop this whole idea, which is now getting what I call a root. We planted it. Now, don't forget the spiritual side of this. That's the big catalyst. You have us, you have the plant, and you have the Great Spirit. And they listen. They listen. People don't, they forget how powerful prayer is. We use it all the time. All the time, every day, all the time. We're in communion every day. So I say to all of us here gathered, this is a generational event. The young people out there, you're going to have to step up here. Us old people, who's over 80 here? Put your hands up. That's the old guys. And they know a lot. You know, we've been hammered. We understand a lot of things that when you're 25, well, you all remember when you were 25. And some of you went to jail and some of you didn't, you know. So it's that spirit, it's that youth, and it's the idea of the Bioneers. And when we first came here, both John and I said, that's awful close to pioneers. I said, weren't they always circling the wagons on us and everything? Kenny was patient with us. He says, no, this is Bioneer. So we finally understood all that. And so we have to invoke John Mohawk, you know, who I consider to be the resident intellect of the Haudenosaunee. And he wasn't with us all that long. You know, he's a young man when he passed on. And, you know, every day is a gift. So we don't know here. You don't know. You think you know what's going to happen tomorrow. No, you don't. No, you don't. So do the best you have today. Put everything you have into the day. Get the best out of the day. Put the best in the day. And that's how things move on. And be thankful. And thank you so much for the inspiration of your work. Thanks. So, okay. So, okay. These are the ones. There's been a lot of talk about women. And in Haudenosaunee, we're matrilineal. And there's a lot of big talk about relationship. And on the walls here, you see the animals, and we have clans. So the brilliance of our people was to give us our family, our clans, and they wedded us right to the earth. I'm a wolf. This man carries all the clans. These all have clans. And so we were instructed that our relations and our brothers are right there. It's brilliant. And Christians thought that it was quaint. But no, it's life. So with all of that, and I don't know whether you saw on the Iroquois Nationals. The Iroquois Nationals, our lacrosse team. We played in the World Games in Denver this July, and 38 countries. The winner of the gold was Canada. The silver was the USA, and bronze was the Iroquois Nationals. So that's an Indigenous team. That's our team. That's your team. That's your team. And next year in 2015, we're hosting the World Games indoor box lacrosse at Onondaga, and please all come.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank
okay.
you.
You want to grab the second?
Okay, got it.